On this episode, we are going to take a different look at the alphabet with the BBB movies, the Triple Bs. I know a lot of you may have heard of a movie called Hard Ticket to Hawaii, but not a lot of you may be aware of the fact that it's part of a larger series of films called the Triple B series, which stood for the Bullets, Bombs, and Babes series from Andy Sidaris and his family. And we're about to take a look to see if it has any continuity or if its timeline makes about as much sense as a giant snake infected with toxins from cancer-infested rats. The saga kicks off back in 1985, pretty much just when you thought it would, with Malibu Express, and we meet P.I. Cody and his boat, the Malibu Express. It's in the title. His life is pretty much just buxom ladies literally just showing up and stripping naked for him, but Sybil Danning is here as a member of a government agency who needs to team up with him to investigate Russians, but for some reason, of course, she has to sleep with him first. There's this hillbilly family that's his rivals, and it's weird because we're clearly in LA, yet a bunch of people have southern accents, and since when did Nick the Dick become a butler? There's shower scenes like every 10 minutes.
Shower time.
We meet our villain and his henchmen.
These are three of my friends, Matthew, Mark, and Luke.
Where's John? Matthew is actually a fairly unrecognizable Mauser from the Police Academy movies, and when Cody's car is destroyed, he finds a car dealership.
I need the fastest thing on this lot.
Sugar, I'm the fastest thing on this lot.
Oh, mercy.
That's the kind of world that Cody lives in.
I got my ass whipped, my borrowed car shot up, and I was raped.
Whoa, that is a hot take there, Cody. Shane refers to videotape as a state-of-the-art technology, so this is definitely early 80s. And pause, I have no idea what this movie is about. There's Russian agents somewhere, secret agents, yet none of them have done anything yet. Hillbilly car racing, blackmail, there's drag queens in this movie. There's no narrative thread to any of this unless this is like LA Confidential where everything ties up together at the ending or something. But this is no LA Confidential since Guy Pearce wasn't offering mustache rides every couple of scenes. There's a weird cameo from Regis and Joy Philbin on a TV, which wasn't a clip, it was apparently shot for this movie. It then turns into a kind of murder mystery of who killed Shane, and Cody's car has a red registration sticker on it, which was the color for 1983, so that's most likely our year, especially since Cody tells an intruder, "Make my day," which was from Sudden Impact, also from 83. When Cody loses a race to the hillbillies, they moon him with signs saying, "We are number one," and he actually has to read them while moving his lips, like he's sounding out the signs. And again, if you wanted to know what kind of universe this is, I present this.
I'll tell you, this car is tits. This car's tits.
Oh yeah? Well, if that car's tits, then what are these?
Ooh.
The hitmen show up again working for the tech spy guy, and Mauser blows himself up after being run over, and Cody stops the conspiracy, arrests Shane's killer, and then outraces the hillbillies. But his car now has an 84 registration sticker on it and expires in July, so if he just updated it, then it should be July of 83 then, and the new sticker will last till next year. There's an extra convoluted ending revealing that the Contessa was Shane's actual killer and a government agent, and she framed Liza because she knew that Cody would clear her name, and then she heads to Hawaii, so this did kind of tie everything together like LA Confidential, except for all of the making sense part. I would try to sum this up briefly, but there's no way to do it. There's like 4 separate plot lines in this film that don't have anything to do with each other. But then they do. But they don't, really. They only have something to do with each other because the people involved happen to end up in the same room. And let's take 1 second to enjoy the fact that the credits, both opening and closing, are being typed on a computer screen by, I guess, the Contessa, which I don't know, I thought that looked kind of nice. This saga continues 2 years later in 1987's Hard Ticket to Hawaii, often referred to as the best B movie of all time. We start with the Malibu Express, but Cody's not here, and there's a guy named Rowdy instead, played by soap opera legend Ron Moss.
What the hell's going on here? You already took Phoebe away from me. And now you're taking Steffi? That's not gonna happen, Rick. It's not gonna happen.
His last name is Abilene, so he's probably related to Cody, I guess. And when 2 DEA agents are killed, we get the opening credits, again done in an interesting way on shipping boxes. I give these couple films high marks for credit sequence originality, at least. We're then introduced to Donna and Taryn, who wear obviously regulation uniforms for the agency. No clarification beyond that, just the agency, and I guess it's also a cargo company. There's this massive snake that they're transporting for some reason on the same plane as a couple of honeymooners, because they're also tour guides with nunchucks and throwing stars. We meet our villain, Seth Romero, Diamond Runner.
If brains were bird shit, you'd have a clean cage.
Yeah. Good one. Rowdy finally reappears as he gets a secret message via sandwich. And wait a minute. Taryn has a poster on the wall for Malibu Express, as well as another Sidaris film, 7. So they say that Cody left the agency to become an actor, and I guess they made a movie of his adventures, and they talk about it as if Cody was the actor in a movie, although the poster says Darby Hinton, who played Cody. So did Cody take on a stage name? I did not expect Hard Ticket to Hawaii to throw me a meta curveball. And then it's revealed that Rowdy is Cody's cousin, so if there was time for Cody to leave and them to make a movie about the events, it would have to be a few years later, so, real-time 87 then works. Seth's men get the jump on the girls to get the diamonds back, but that big snake gets loose and Seth shoots at it, which for some reason causes the bad guys to just let the girls go. They then shoot Seth right in the face, and it's revealed that the snake is infested with... Let me check my notes here. Here we go. Toxins from cancer-infested rats. I have it written in my notes to do a shocked look here. So how's this one? They team up with Edie, who has a restaurant called Edie's, in which JJ here sits down and gives a minute-long monologue to random strangers about the vitamins he takes to have a healthy urine content, as you do.
Take 10 grams a day as I do, and your kidneys will crank out that iridescent green and yellow urine will win you respect in every restroom in the world. And wait, I'm confused again. They are government agents? They don't just work for the cargo company? Is that just their cover? Rowdy and Jade arrive in Hawaii, and here's where one of the film's most famous scenes happen. A skateboarder whose name is apparently Skater attacks them with a shotgun and a blow-up doll, so they run him over and blow him up with a rocket launcher and then blow up the doll as well, because why not? Oddly, Stewart from Malibu Express is here, but this is a different character who also happens to be a drag queen. Edie is kidnapped and somehow sumo wrestlers are involved, and the snake kills the honeymooners, but pay no mind to this guy right here. And I guess that the cargo company is a cover for Donna, but Taryn is a civilian, but she's there under the witness protection program, and she's helping the agency because she's obsessed with James Bond. They go to help Edie with the help of this razor-bladed frisbee, which
Why did they even need to do this? You have a gun, and the guy's standing there unarmed. Why take the chance of this not working? Just shoot him. There's shootouts and fights.
My beads. My mother gave those to me.
And ultimately they blow up a helicopter, killing most of the bad guys, but then they drive away, and then, I'm not making this up, they realize that they forgot to kill Romero, and they do their best Jamie Lee versus Michael impression. The snake literally explodes out of the toilet for some reason, and then breaks a mirror because it can't deal with the harsh reality of what it's become, and then kills Seth. And Donna shoots it, and you can actually see the firecracker in its mouth. But then Rowdy, ever the king of overkill, bazookas it. Oddly enough, a close-up of a license plate displays a sticker with Hawaii's colors for 1984, but that seems a little iffy that a film based on the events of the last movie would be made and released and then talked about like it was made a while ago, so we'll ignore that sticker, and they take out the big boss, Mr. Chang, who is apparently half Chinese and half dummy. And I now realize that I have no idea how I'm going to make it through 12 of these, not because of the usual reason, not because they're hard to watch, but because there's just so much to say about these movies that this might be a 2-hour video. 1 year later, the saga continued with 1988's Picasso Trigger, which starts with an unfortunately very traditional style credit sequence, which is a bit of a bummer. And we're in Paris, and the actor who played Seth Romero is here as a new character named Miguel Ortiz, and he wants to avenge his brother, but his brother wasn't Seth, but a whole nother character named Luca. There's a double agent codenamed Picasso Trigger, and he is killed, so the agency calls on the Malibu Express, now manned by Travis here. And Edie's back, as is Donna and Taryn, and these guys have that same damn license plate with the green sticker, so I'm glad we ignored that thing. Their boat is blown up by Miguel, and he says it's for revenge, so I'm thinking that Seth Romero was just an alias for Luca Ortiz?
Why am I expecting these to make any sense?
There's a Texas license plate a little later with a sticker that expires in December of '87, so that's possibly our year here, maybe a short while after the last one. Jade is also back, and there's a new character named Pantera who is sporting a vulgar display of sultry, and Travis's last name is Abilene, of course, so I guess he's another cousin. Jimmy John with the good urine is back as well, as is the professor, and I guess the Kim and Patty Cakes here are also agents, but also Vegas dancers? These guards just hang around in karate uniforms with Uzis and shotguns, and this movie has introduced so many random people that I'm not even sure who they work for anymore. Patty Cakes is shot, but lives, and Juan here is also an agent, although he was also Luke in Malibu Express, a hitman. It takes a while, but it finally starts to get into some of the more insane stuff that made Hard Ticket so fun, and we get some explosive boomerang, plus dummy action, an explosive remote control car, and Ortiz is blown up with an explosive spear gun. It's revealed that Picasso Trigger faked his death, and there's a shotgun crutch involved, but Pantera is revealed to be evil and is killed, and then we get hovercrafts and jet skis, and it's like they wanted to jam all of the entertainment of this film into the last 15 minutes. Donna blows up Trigger, but nope, he faked his own death again, so they shoot a rocket at him that I guess it tracks his pacemaker somehow. Since there's no official year, I'm setting this in real time 88, giving time for Rowdy to move on and Travis to take his place and have an established working relationship with the team. Another year passed, and 89 gave us Savage Beach, which again lets me down with the credits. Guess that was just for the first two.
I'm kind of sad.
Patty Cakes is back with no indications of scarring from being shot in the face, so I guess some time in plastic surgery has happened between films. And Donna and Taryn are both back and blowing things up, which sometimes I guess just leaves smugglers looking like Wile E. Coyote. We then meet our newest Abilene family member, Shane.
Another Abilene?
They just keep coming, don't they?
And I guess that Edie is gone and the restaurant is now Rocky's. And we meet Captain Andreas, who, wait a minute, is this Picasso Trigger back again? Or a new character? He's in this very carefully labeled computer control center, and there's something about a double being used to infiltrate the computer control center, parking in the allotted parking space for the computer control center. And hey, this guy's not the imposter, but apparently doesn't know how to load a floppy disk the right way. So are we sure that he's on the level?
Appreciate the army giving up. Appreciate the army giving up.
The double is also one of the assassins from Picasso Trigger, I guess playing a new character here. And there's a ship containing stolen gold from World War II. And there's a new bad guy named Martinez, again played by Rodrigo Obregon, but this one is definitely unrelated to his previous two villains. He's teamed up with Angelica, played by notorious Playboy playmate turned porn star Terry Weigel, and then Al Long shows up while Donna and Taryn, in a completely separate storyline, have been flying, I guess, all night in a storm in what must be the most fuel-stocked airplane ever, and they crash land on an island which just so happens to be where the gold is. But there's someone else there who attacks them, so they put on camo face paint that then just disappears. Or is the paint so well camouflaged that I can no longer see it? The island intruder is one of the World War II Japanese soldiers from the flashback, and I guess this is supposed to be old age makeup? He'd be in his mid to late 60s at this point, but instead kind of looks like a background zombie. They find the gold and double-crossers kill Angelica, and things finally get moving here as there's shootouts, exploding arrows, Martinez explodes, making Obregon's third death in the series, and the Japanese soldier is killed while saving the day. Bruce and Cap Andreas survive, but Bruce is actually CIA. And there's no date in this one, but we're rolling with the whole real-time thing here, so let's go with 89. Just 1 year later, in 1990, Sidaris said, screw it, let's just call the next movie Guns. And hey, after taking last movie off, Edie is back, but she's in Vegas now, I guess under a new cover as a singer. And Ponch is here, and hey, look at little baby Danica Trejo. Juan here is our villain looking to smuggle weapons out of Hawaii, and though Taryn's gone, Donna's back, as is Rocky, and there's a new agent named Nicole who looks a hell of a lot like Pantera from Picasso Trigger with shorter hair, but it is an entirely different person. Juan's assassins dress in a really convincing drag and shoot Rocky, killing her. Shane is back, making the first time at Abilene has made multiple appearances, and Bruce is back too, now a member of the agency, so I guess he quit the CIA or something. This guy's back who played a thug in one of them, Juan in Picasso Trigger, and it's just kind of here in this one, and then there's some shootouts.
Don't just do something! Stand there!
And then some rocket launchers that don't blow people up. It just makes their skin darker. There's a car with a rally sticker on it from 1989, so I think saying this is real-time 90 works again since the rally is over, and his registration sticker shows June 90 as the expiration. We meet Donna's mom, the Nevada Attorney General, and a character named Abe who says that he's the brother of a character from Picasso Trigger, and kills this guy who also played a thug in PT, and he's apparently the same character since Abe is getting revenge. We get more drag hijinks with Large Marge, who is actually Rodrigo Obregon, just in case you thought he wouldn't make an appearance, but he's playing a good guy now, and again, a totally different character. This one is all pretty regular until finally people get blown up by remote control boats and a woman in her own bathroom who is unable to figure out where a person is standing, so she keeps shooting reflections. It's not a hall of mirrors, it's literally just a bathroom.
How hard can this be to figure out?
Danny gets smushed and they rocket launch a jack of diamonds and then do this. I want to take this moment to say that these are getting less and less fun to watch, and this was the film in which it turned into a challenge. This series chugged along, and 1 year later, Do or Die was released, and Donna and Nicole are back, and Mr. Miyagi is here as a crime lord who tells the girl that he's tasked 6 teams of assassins to come after them. Lucas is back from the first one, and he seems like their boss now, and they defeat the first team by blowing up their helicopter. Bruce is back, and we meet Rico Estevez, oddly also played by Eric Estrada, with no relation to his evil character from the last movie. It's like this is a world where there's only a limited amount of character models. He helps out when the girls are attacked by the second team in Nevada, blowing up their car. Edie's back, still a singer in Vegas, and Shane is back as well, and I guess he's her backup dancer. They figure out that they were about to be poisoned because a cat dies from eating their food, and they arrest the third team.
And you've killed a cat.
Yeah, so you should have blown them up.
The fourth team, motorcycle killers, get taken out, one shot, and the other blown up with an explosive baseball. And sure, the guys who don't kill the cat get blown up. Then, if you wanted a real reason to watch this movie, here it is. Now, when all of your friends ask if you've ever seen a movie with Pat Morita in a softcore sex scene, you can answer with a resounding yes. Team 5 attacks on jet skis and are quickly dispatched, and then they have the final face-off with Team 6 in the woods, but they're tricked by mannequins and, you guessed it, blown up. Kane gets away, but they're able to place a tracer on him so they can track his whereabouts, and with no visible date, we're rolling with real time again and saying 1991. There was actually a 2-year gap until the next entry, 1993's Hard Hunted, and Silk is back, and she's still with Kane, who has somehow cut his age in half and turned white. This is supposed to be the same character as Pat Morita's Kane, short for Kaneshiro. And I think we're supposed to not notice. Oh, and the actor is James Bond actor Roger Moore's real-life son. Edie is back, but she's no longer a Vegas showgirl and is back to working at Edie's. There's now a radio station next door, and Shane works there, as does new character Ava, and they use the radio show to communicate in code with operatives, which seems like the least practical way possible to do that. Nicole and Donna are both back, but they're in Sedona, and Lucas is back, recast now, and Al Long returns, also playing a new character after being killed several movies ago. He's got this cool gyrocopter thing, and then Lucas calls Edie's.
This is Edie.
Put on the scrambler.
So if they have a line that they can scramble to avoid people listening, then why do they need a radio station?
Bruce is back and Donna is kidnapped, but she escapes by, no surprise, blowing up her captor. Rodrigo is back after taking the last movie off, and Donna gets amnesia, and the wacky cat-killing duo from the last film are back, but again, probably different characters here, named Wiley and Coyote.
Hilarious.
And their guns say Acme on them.
Get it?
They say that they've been tracking Kane for a while now, implying time has passed since the last film, and the cartoon boys are bombed with an explosive fish hook, mainly because they can't shoot non-moving targets with a machine gun, but they're okay, I guess. Nicole shoots Pico, and they save Donna, but Raven gets to Jade's sculptor that has a nuke trigger in it, but Donna then stealthily outwits him, and who we kidding? She blows him up. Kane gets away, and Shane pops up again for a second, and hey, remember when the Abilenes did stuff in this series? It's kind of funny how it went from Cody being the main character to Donna being a number one, and then Abilene making a hot tub cameo. So since they skipped the movie in 92, they had to make up for it, so later on in 93, we also got Fit to Kill. And Nicole and Donna are both back, and in case you lost track, this is part 8 of the series, and was originally intended to be the final entry. Bruce and Shane are both back as well, and right off the bat we get remote control helicopter rockets. I haven't mentioned it up until now, but there's a series-long running joke in which the entire Abilene clan are terrible shots and never hit their target, but it's in practically every movie. Lucas is back and he introduces the remote copter as if they've never seen one, even though Eric Estrada used one in Do or Die, and the girls both saw it work. Ava the DJ is back again, and a shot of Vegas features Neil Young and Joe Cocker playing at Bally's, and that happened back in 92, so that would be when this one takes place, putting the previous one probably earlier in the same year. Kane and Silk are back, and we meet new character Blue Steel, played by Julie Strain, and I know this video is going to come out much later, but the day that I watched this video and wrote this script was the day that she sadly passed away. Karen hires Blue to help him get revenge after the events of the last film, and Chinese businessman Chang hires a crew to help him protect the diamond whose name I can't say out loud without waking up this damn device behind me. The apparently extremely versatile Rodrigo appears playing a Russian now, and there's a big party that Edie sings at, and Kane steals the diamond. Those two silly henchmen are back, but now their names are Evil and Knievel, and it's suggested that they're the same characters from the previous 2 films, just with different code names. They try to use a remote signal car to blow up Edie, but this woman, who tries to change her radio station by, I guess, pressing the screen?
Touchscreens won't be around for like 20 years.
They get blown up, but again survive, like Daffy Duck and Dynamite, and Blue double-crosses Kane because the whole thing was this really elaborate setup to embarrass the US and Russia? There's a whole fantasy sequence with Kane as a Bond parody, and then there's a triple cross, and Chang is shot, and they blow up the boat with Blue on it, and then Kane gets away again. So even though the next entry was apparently released overseas in December of 93, it didn't come out fully until 1994, and it's Enemy Gold, the first entry not directed by Andy Sidaris, and instead taken over by his son, Drew Sidaris. This one's sort of a reboot of the series as the characters from the previous films aren't present, but it is in the same universe. It starts in the Civil War because I'm guessing they had some friends that were doing a reenactment, so they took cameras so they can squeeze it into the film. Soldiers hide gold, and then we're in the present day, and then Bruce is here, and he's not Bruce anymore. He's a new character named Chris Cannon, a completely different agent. And we also meet Becky Midnight and Mark, and they go into action with Chris in his secret agent regulation leather vest. If you thought that there'd be less exploding arrows, though, you'd be very, very wrong. Their boss hates them, and Rodrigo is back again as another drug smuggler named Santiago, and Julie Strain is back as well, again, a completely different character now named Jewel Panther, also a villain who teams up with Santiago. Not much happens for really long stretches of time. I mean, there's nudity and sex scenes, but after watching a few of these in a row, that the novelty of that kind of wore off. They find the diary of the soldiers from the beginning.
Do you see any dates?
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Santi and Panthy want the diary to find the gold, and there's some shenanigans, including some ATV chases and this death by branch. Our heroes are captured, and there's some agency double-crossing and triple-crossing. And you'd think that the bad guys would have learned by now, but exploding arrow to the chopper. Ava takes over as their boss, and of course it ends in the hot tub, because in this universe, it always does. I guess we're still saying real time, so this is set in early 94. Later in 94, the next chapter arrived with The Dallas Connection, still directed by Drew Sidaris, and we start in Paris, and Ms. Strain is back yet again as an assassin, but did she survive the last film, or is this a different character? Her name is Black Widow, and from her reporting in, it seems like a new person. They're a guest in South Africa.
Tomorrow I'll be in Dallas. The scientific symposium will be in 3 days, and I'll be back in South Africa before you know it. When I get back, we should spend a week in Johannesburg in one of those romantic hotels.
Have they convinced you that this isn't Texas yet?
Meanwhile, some people were upset that there weren't any exploding remote control vehicles in the last film, so here you are. We meet a new assassin named Cobra, and we head to Hong Kong, or Texas. Oh, I guess exploding golf balls are new, courtesy of the new assassin Scorpion, and then we finally get to the good guys with new agency member Samantha Max, Phantasm 2's Alchemy. And she's teamed with Chris and Mark to protect a scientist, played by who else but Rodrigo. And the agency is referred to as I-War, which I believe is the only time that the name of the agency that they work for has been talked about up till now. It's a classy film.
I'd like to suck the polish off your toes.
Guys, in case you were thinking about trying this will not work.
For some reason, the assassins also operate as a burlesque act at a restaurant because, low profile. They even dance using stage names that are the same as their assassin code names. And hey, looks like Jackal is playing there on Tuesday, October 26th, and that's how things lined up in 1993, so I'm guessing that that's when this one takes place, and Enemy Gold takes place in early 93?
I'm just going with it because I'm losing my will to live here.
I-War guys start getting killed, but they make that fatal bad guy mistake, dropping a matchbook for the business that they're involved in, which is the single most important detective clue in all of film. More matchbooks have solved crimes than DNA in movies.
Matchbook dropping is like the most crucial villain flaw, to the point that if I were a villain and I was interviewing henchmen, my first questions would be, do you smoke? Can I interest you in a lighter?
Antonio is revealed to be the villain, and Cobra is revealed to be a double agent. Scorpion switch sides, Fu gets blown up.
You should have read your fortune cookie.
Really?
Then, do you think the bad guys get blown up by remote control explosives? Nah, they wouldn't do the same thing. Everything wraps up San's hot tub scene for once. 2 years passed, but it was more like a year and a half, and early 1996 saw the Day of the Warrior, with Andy returning to the director's chair. Cobra returns.
You could own me if you just call me Cobra.
Who are you talking to?
The agency is apparently now called Lethal, which stands for Legion to Ensure Total Harmony and Law, and I love that the word "and" gets its own initialism, but not the word "to." We meet new Agent Tiger here, and seriously, Julie Strain again? But now she's a good guy named Willow Black versus the last movie as Black Widow. And there's new hero Doc Austin, who knocks guys through walls as long as they're made of plywood. We also have new agent Tyler, and they're after a crime lord called the Warrior, and he's got some henchmen in Kim here and Manuel, of course played by Rodrigo. And the Warrior himself is Marcus Bagwell, played by a wrestler, which I think y'all know is my pop culture blind spot. We meet and spend a weird amount of time with two hitmen named JP and Chaz, and on a list of things that you've never seen before, how about martial arts legend Gerald Akamura as an Elvis impersonator? How did they think that it wouldn't be confusing to have two characters as good guys that both played bad guys just like 2 movies ago? Especially since one of them even has the same name as his previous character. I think it's possible that JP and Chaz are supposed to be the two wacky henchmen from the earlier films, and they just go by the code names Smith and Barney and check out this totally real owl. There's so many characters in this one, people go off screen and then don't show up back again for like a half hour. And then there's even new characters like Shark and Scorpion, who I'm assuming is not the same Scorpion from Dallas Connection unless, I don't know, who knows? Maybe it is. When they're introduced, Shark is literally just standing here dancing, and for some reason when JP and Chaz call them, they're dancing too?
Why is this happening?
Don't worry, there's exploding crossbow bolts and this amazing reaction shot. And this...
Bio said you were working at Disneyland when you were recruited. What did you do there?
I was one of the rides.
There's more double-crossing, chalking up another death for Roddy, and of course a wrestling match. And how do the explosions decide which people to kill and which people to just kind of powder their faces? They defeat Warrior and I guess win the day, but there's no date, so real-time 96 it is. We finally hit the end of the story with 1998's return to Savage Beach, not only the final film in this series, but the final film of Andy Sidaris himself. Willow is back, and hey, we're back at the radio station. And Ava is here, as is Silk, who I guess no longer works for Kane. She doesn't even mention him. And here we are, we've now tied this new crop of movies to the old ones, making it one coherent series, and I did not mean to say coherent.
That is not a word that should be used here.
And hey, if you're a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, you should thank this guy here, as he's one of their co-creators and was also married to Julie Strain at the time. Tiger and Tyler are back, as is Cobra and Doc, but Doc has been recast, and yup, explosive arrows. We meet Sophia, spy, undercover as a roller skating pizza girl, because it's all about being inconspicuous, right? She steals a file on Savage Beach, and there's flashbacks, and Rodrigo is back once again looking like the Phantom of the Opera, and he's playing Martinez, which was his character name in Savage Beach. And then the Warrior shows back up as a reformed good guy now. He says he spent 3 months in prison, but he's been out for a while, and there's no saying how much time elapsed before he was put in prison, so it's not an indicator of our date. I should also point out that several times in this series when a villain turns good, and we had seen them in previous films killing innocent people, they reveal that the person that they killed was actually evil themselves, and so they're forgiven, even if they didn't know that they were evil when they killed them. Fu is also back, remote control car bombs are back, and it's revealed that Martinez is the same guy, and he survived the ending of Savage Beach. And Willow and Warrior get it on. Like your husband is right here. Tyler gets kidnapped and everyone gets to the island. Sophia is revealed to be Interpol, and they almost get blown up, and hey, watch the hands there, mister. They get the gold and face off against Martinez, who says that the first Savage Beach was almost 10 years ago, and since we're saying that was 89, saying that this is real-time 98 makes sense. Then, there's nothing under Martinez's mask, but he's wearing a mask because he's actually Martinez's nephew? And the whole story about surviving was made up? Except it wasn't made up, and the nephew killed him very recently? What? But then Martinez is alive, and I guess that's it. I kind of went out on a whimper instead of on an exploding cancer-infected snake.
So there you have it, 12 movies that just don't really tie together that well. It's pretty clear that I guess that they were trying for an overreaching storyline over these movies, but also that they kind of just wanted to make like single-serving films of their own thing, which, I mean, it mostly works, but the continuity doesn't, with characters appearing and disappearing at random, actors playing good guys and then bad guys, possibly being the same people, bad guys suddenly becoming good guys for no reason whatsoever. Yeah, there's not a lot of continuity to these, and for the most part, they're mostly entertaining. I will say watching all 12 of these back to back is not really the way to go. I'm sure that a lot of you may have at least heard of Hard Ticket to Hawaii or Malibu Express or even Picasso Trigger. Those are some of the more well-known, and they are fun to watch. They're a lot of fun. Some of the later ones are more just straight up low budget, like silly action movies with a lot of blood and boobs, but that's about it. They were amusing, but you definitely got to check out Hard Ticket to Hawaii. That is kind of like the highlight of this series, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Recommend that one. If you've seen these and liked them, let me know down below. Put it in the comments. Hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I do want to thank my patrons for supporting the channel, and you can become a patron as well by going to patreon.com/movietimelines and helping to support the channel. I'd appreciate that, but I do appreciate you just watching the videos. Thank you for tuning into this one, and we'll see you very shortly for another one. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.